Hi everyone, Vidette Mayer here. I wanted to do this daily tune-in via video today rather than writing it out and giving you the audio, simply because I'm running a little bit behind on getting it all together, and I still wanted to get something out because there's some cool stuff happening today in the energetic field that I think is really important, and I want to make sure that you get this message because I think it'll really help you in moving forward and really understanding what's happening in your life and in your own being. So as you know, we are tuning into the energies of the moment in these daily tune-ins. And how I like to break it down is how these energies affect you spiritually, emotionally, and physically. We have been ingrained in our culture and in our society to really tune into the physical world and what's happening out here and how does it affect us and what do we do with that. And then we start to kind of wake up to consciously saying, okay, well, I'm going to respond to it rather than react to the outer world. But what we're doing here really is first bringing it in spiritually, emotionally, so that we can then take that energy and alchemize it into the highest frequency possible, so that when we project our own energy out into our own world, we are actually creating our own worlds in a higher frequency, a higher vibration, and it then looks and feels and actually manifests in a way that's very different than when we come from a processing side of, I'm going to take what's happening in the real world, or not real world, in the physical world and bring it into my own life and then figure out what to do with it. As a multidimensional being and understanding that, we then flip our operating system into first, what is it we want to create? What are the energies we're working with? What do we do with these energies? And how do we project out into the world? And when we project out into the world something that is of a higher frequency and of a higher consciousness, then we start to then create that in the world, and expands and multiplies and then has an effect on the outer world. So that is what we are doing here. It's creating life in from a different way than we've ever been taught. So right now what's happening, and I'm kind of sitting a little off because, well, first of all, I have this fan over here that I just was trying to hide it. But also I'm gonna put this image, I think, when I edit this right here, so you'll be able to see it. But for now, I'm gonna do it this way. This is gonna be the image for the video, and this is what's happening right now. So the Schumann resonance, this is just a little bit of a clip of it because it's been down for several days. I think it was like 50 something hours. So over 2 days, the Schumann's been down. Typically that happens when we get a really big high influx of solar energy from a coronal mass injection, a solar flare, and it'll take down the satellites in the satellite orbit around Earth. And you can go to NOAA and to the NASA websites and get all of this information. So I'm not making this part up. So I know for sure we have been getting hit in the last few days by a couple of coronal mass ejections, and today we are going to be getting hit with another one. And you can see in the magnetosphere, again, hopefully this is going to be on here so it'll be a little bit easier for you to see. In the magnetosphere, you're going to see a lot of red, and this red surrounds our entire planet. And our planet is right, Earth is in here, and I have this little arrow that goes up, says this is Earth right here. And you'll see when there's a lot of red in these photos, it means that it's a lot of pressure around our planet. So that pressure, those energies are kind of like squeezing our planet, and that's what's helping to elevate the frequency, because we are in this orbit where the Earth is having to come up in frequency to resonate with where she is in the cosmos. And as inhabitants of our Earth, we too are having to do that. That's why you'll hear a lot of talk about massive spiritual awakenings, because what's happening is everything is shifting in our brains, everything is shifting in our bodies, and our energies are having, or our frequencies are having to rise up. So when that happens, there's a lot that happens internally. So I have some notes here that I wanted to share as far as what is happening right now. Now, last week I talked about a great shift is going to be happening, and you might start to feel a lot of that internally. And when we talk about things that are going to happen or that are happening on these daily tune-ins, it's what's happening to you consciously, what's happening within you. And as you then start to notice these changes and these shifts happening, you are going to then project these out, and you will see them also happening in our world. Hey, Priya. Sorry, my dog's just sitting there licking. It's driving me crazy. So the shift that we talked about last week, where it's kind of like there's going to be a great shift in consciousness in humanity, today is the day. It sounds so weird to say, but you're going to really start to feel it and actually start to see it in your physical reality. So here's what this means. You're going to be softening a little bit. If you are here, you have been doing some work internally. These last 5 to 6 months has really been, these high energies have been like just bombarding us. And if you've been on this journey for a while, you've been doing the work to alchemize these high pressured energies and going within, kind of staring at the darkness, looking at those things that you had to start to look at. You're starting to do the inner work, not even starting, you probably have been doing it, but if you haven't, these past few months have really forced us in humanity to have to start looking at all the things that were quite dense. So I've been talking about the things that have been weighted on you, weightier, heavier things that we've had to all deal with. Those things are going to start to lift. We've actually moved into a place now where these energies are still very, very pressurized, but with wherever you are consciously, it's going to start to lift a little bit. So going back to this image, what you'll also notice on the Schumann, Priya, on the Schumann, you have these lines right here. These are collectives of different vibrational energies that are actually starting to really resonate together. So we have this resonance up here, which is these lower frequencies, which is this 7.8. That's kind of where the 7.8 hertz is where planet Earth has been resonating at for very long time. So our humanity has been in that resonance, but as our Earth has started to rise, we have other collectives that are doing the work, that are rising up in their own frequencies. So with the shift coming, we are shifting over to a higher frequency in Earth called the fifth dimensional frequency, that we have to rise up to almost 40 hertz. So it's 5 times the natural rate of where we have been in humanity. So that's why there's a lot of disparaging behaviors and pattern changes that we're all experiencing. So you're starting to see where these collectives are. Depending on where you are, if you're in these kind of higher frequencies, you're starting to resonate at a higher base frequency. These weighty, denser things, you've been doing your work to release these emotional things. You've been looking at what is bringing me more stress and worry and anxiety, and you've been releasing them. So you're going to start to feel lighter and lighter and lighter. For those who have still continued to avoid things, kept their eyes shut to what they didn't want to see, these pressured energies are still going to be rather intense for them. But for those of us who have been shedding and letting go, you're going to see that things start to elevate a little bit. Your experience in life is going to start to elevate. there's going to be a great energy, like kind of pushing you forward. You're going to feel like you're in the flow more. This is super exciting. I know I'm excited about it because it has felt like for months now. It's like, you know, we're kind of bumping up against the next barrier and the next hurdle, and you're like, oh gosh, now I got to deal with this, and you sit with it and you deal with it and you release it and you look at it and you grieve it, and we've all been in this churning of emotions of healing, and yet healing sometimes is quite painful, and that transformational process is the process where we had to go into the chrysalis stage really and be in the mess of it. But this is the stage where we start to kind of come out and it feels like we're flowing. Air, breath is going to be just pivotal, because you're going to feel like you can start to take really deep breaths again. You're going to start to just go outside and be like, oh my gosh, there's a big breath of fresh air. That's an amazing feeling as well. We've had to go within quite a bit in the last few months to integrate these massive energies that have been coming in. They've been coming in since 2018, but this past year they've been actually really intense, because this solar energy, and also there's a bunch of energy behind our planet, which is where things don't usually, energies don't come in from there. It's kind of a vast void. But all of a sudden, you know, you can make your own interpretations of what that is. I believe we are being aided by beings that are helping us to elevate our consciousness so that we can feel the freedom of our souls. We can feel the freedom. We can become the sovereign beings that we've been stopped from being because of all the limitations that have been set by lower consciousness that wants to kind of keep us subdued rather than free. So these energies have been all around our planet for months and months now, and we've all had to go in, but now we're coming out of that. Self-awareness is heightened for you. So is, so is so the outside world is going to feel more manageable. So rather than you reacting to the physical world, it's going to feel as if you can respond more. You're not going to be as triggered by the outside world as much. You're going to sit and you could watch it. You're going to be more of an observer in it and feel as if you have more peace and calm about you, because you know that all of that has to go on. It all has to settle. It has to crumble. But while it's crumbling, you have already done the work within and in your own world to allow what needed to crumble. You've allowed what needed to fall away. So you know you don't die. You can handle it. You can manage the outside world happening now. So whatever goes on out there, just know that you are going to observe it and you are going to be the master of your emotions. Spiritually, what does this mean? Rebellion. That word was really big. Your soul is in charge. I've mentioned that last week on one of the daily tune-ins. And your soul is now taking the lead, your higher self. So she's still just now kind of like learning to walk in this physical world and in the lead. So your ego is still going to want to start to try to get hold of it again and take control. And yet the rebellion is your soul is going to say, no. You need to sit back. You need to be quiet. I'm in the lead. So there's going to be still some push and pull between the ego and your soul, your higher self. But that's actually really healthy. You want that balance of, what I'm going to say, dark and light. It doesn't mean your ego is bad. It just means it doesn't know any better. It's just programmed from what you've already known and what you've already lived. And it doesn't quite get how much the higher self knows. It doesn't quite really want to submit, but it knows that it kind of has to unconsciously. It's like if you see it as a person, it knows just to be quiet once she says, I got this. So there might be a little bit of push and pull. So you're going to feel rebellious and be like, oh no, I'm not doing that the way I used to do it. No way. So you're really going to, in the physical world, you're going to be responding very differently to things that you may have done the same all along. So people aren't really going to know what to do with that. And that may have been able to manipulate you or deceive you, when you start to use your, okay, my camera just froze up, so mid-sentence. So to continue on, you might be feeling a back and forth, but when you are operating in the physical world, in situations or with people that may have known you to do or be a certain way, and all of a sudden you seem rebellious and you're saying, oh no, we're not doing that anymore, and that's not how it is anymore. I'm going to say no when I used to say yes all the time. You might be seen as a little bit rebellious, but that is exactly what your soul is leading you to do, to be your true authentic self, and not to say yes to the things that you used to say yes to just because you wanted to people please, or because you wanted to make everybody else happy and at the expense of yourself. That's going to be showing up a lot this week. And for forever, but this is going to be the week where you're going to notice it more. Remember, you're going to be more of an observer. Emotionally, your pursuit at balancing emotions is becoming obvious. As you start to have these switches in your behaviors and these switches in your patterns, you're going to observe yourself being like, oh my gosh, I actually feel quite powerful at that. Oh my gosh, I feel as though I'm growing. I'm turning into this person that I've always wanted to be. I have a strength or a courage or a boldness that I never had. That's actually going to be really, really observable now, and you're going to feel emotionally more stable. You're going to feel more stronger. You're going to walk a little bit differently, because you're actually going to be now seeing and projecting these changes that you've been kind of marinating in these last few months. You're going to see them coming out into your physical world. You're also having revelations that help you want to feel the more joy and love, purpose, and meaning in your life. You're going to have these understandings of, oh, this is exactly who I am now. This is what I want. This is who I want to be. This is who I am now. This is who I've always been, but now I'm actually being that person. So these revelations, especially these energies coming in, this pressure that's all around, it's actually updating your DNA. It's updating your brain waves. It's bringing you into a higher consciousness. It's bringing you into higher creative function. So that way, as that happens, you're literally expanding into perceptions that you've never had before. So that as you expand into new perceptions, those perceptions then become new ideas, new understandings, new wisdom. They're really not new. They've always been there. But because your consciousness is expanding, you're now understanding things more. And what you're understanding more and more is that the meaning and purpose of life for you and for me is to feel more joy, and to feel more meaning, and to feel more purpose, to feel more loved, to feel more valued. And that is how you are going to start to operate in. You're going to start choosing the people and the places and the opportunities in your life that bring you that, as opposed to the ones that you've been maybe saying yes to for your entire life that have actually sucked energy from you, but you wanted to make everybody else happy out here. But now you're having these revelations of what is going to make me happy here first, so that I can project that out into the world. And that's how you start to expand into these higher frequencies of being and the higher frequencies of your own life expression. The physical world. This is what I think is kind of exciting. All of this new energy, these new revelations, these new commitments to your own happiness, your own joy, this push and pull between your ego, and the more you start to choose the soul-led ideas, the soul-led feelings, you are going to see now a turning point where things in your physical life are going to start to be kind of the movie screen of this projection of this new way of being. So this is the week where you're going to start to see things happening in your physical world, where you're like, finally the work is actually showing in my physical world. It's been more of an internal process, and an internal change, an internal transformation. The inner part the inner work has been done, and sometimes that feels like it takes forever. I agree with you. I know that because I'm with it too. I'm like, man, all this work, when does it start to pay off? This is the week that we'll start to see things we're in the flow now. So all of that work is going to start showing up in our physical world. So we'll start to manifest the things that actually show us the work that we've done. The knowledge that you've attained from the darkness starts to fuel you, meaning the knowledge and the wisdom that has opened up in these expanded perceptions and these expanded understandings are going to be the very things now that actually show up in your physical world. So you'll start to see new connections, new opportunities, people will appear, and they will be the things that fill you emotionally, the things that, when you meet someone or a new opportunity comes across your plate, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, you expand and you get excited, you feel that happiness, that joy, that purpose, that meaning, all the things that you have been wanting to feel and doing the work to clear all the gunk and the weight that was stopping you from feeling all of that. This is when you start to feel lighter and lighter and lighter, and that lightness then turns into a flow that is actually projected from your heart, your integrated spiritual heart, your mind, and your physical world is now projected out in your world, your reality. This is where things start to get really fun. There's been a lot of rearranging in the cosmos, so we don't have to go into all of that because that's not really my thing, but I do know that aligns with what we're talking about here, and it aligns with what we're seeing literally measured in the earth and space weather. So it's all kind of resonating together, and it's all lining up. So things are about to get really fun for you. If there's anything else that has felt like a weight or a burden, keep working on that, because it's going to lift very, very soon for you, because you know what you're doing at this point. So keep on going. You're doing a really great job. I'm doing a really great job. It hasn't been an easy road. It hasn't been an easy process. It never is. As long as we've always been packing on things and doing our life for everybody else and living our life for everybody else and trying to make everybody else happy out here, and then responding and reacting to everything that goes on out here and trying to manage everything, it was making us crazy. So this has been the year that we've been like, enough is enough. I can't do that. It takes so much energy, and I'm going to work on myself. We've been doing that work in these last few months, in this last 12, 18 months, and all of a sudden now it's kind of that time where we're like, and we can take a deep breath. Like I said, air is going to be our friend. We're going to do a lot of breath work. Take in that big breath of fresh air every time you go outside. Breathe it in, because we can do so much more with our breath when we actually consciously choose to take a deep breath and release it. And every time you release it out with an intention of blessing every single person that breath could possibly affect, in blessing them with all of the love and the meaning and the purpose that you feel, because this is where you get to project your new consciousness, your soul-led consciousness out into the world, and Lord knows we need it. So keep doing the work. You're doing a great job.
If today's daily tune-in brought you value and insight, please consider giving in return for that value by leaving a love offering. All donations go to keeping this platform operating and in service to humanity during these transformational times. To go even deeper into your soul frequency, please consider these offerings. For personal insights into your most pressing questions and concerns, get an energetic insight reading delivered directly to your inbox. To take a quantum leap in your transformation, book a personal session with Vidette. There are several options available based on how deeply you would like to go into your most desired soul-led life. To find more information and to book your sessions, please visit videttemeyer.com.